What's going on, folks? So as you can see, we're back in the gun room for another discussion. And what do I want to talk about today? So today I want to talk about your practice regimen on the range. But before we do that, I want to thank my sponsor. He provides ammunition to the channel so that it can relieve some of the cost, because again, I've discussed before, I'm not monetized because I don't feel like fighting YouTube. It is an insane thing to fight YouTube for monetization for gun channels, and I don't want the hassle. And Mark at Browne Works Inc has stepped up and offered to provide some ammunition to the channel to help relieve some of the costs. So thank you again, Mark. Guys, please go down and check the link below. There's also a 10% discount off your first purchase. And what does Browne Works Inc do? Well, they make very fine custom. Look at that. Look at the medallion. That's my channel medallion. That's fantastic. They make very fine custom exotic wood grips for handguns. Okay. They can do them out of a bunch of different exotic materials, different patterns, styles, relief cuts, you know, inlaid medallions of your family crest. You have your children's names on there, your company name, whatever you want. Mark can do it. Hit Mark up. If you don't see something on the website that you like, okay, hit him up and ask him. Talk to him about getting some custom work done. Guys, these aren't the standard grips that everybody buys from other grip companies. These are truly custom. You work with Mark to talk about the color of the stain, red, blue, green, multiple different colors, okay? It's all over his website. American flag stuff, snakeskin grips. Another thing Mark does, which he's one of the only companies that do this, is he makes custom grips for these double stack Rock Island guns, which a lot of people won't even take on because of the how complicated they are. They are very thin grips, which means they're fragile, and they have these little tabs that fill in the holes that have to be cut in the frame because of the wide trigger bow on these guns. Okay, and these grips that come on these guns they're junk. Okay, so if you are looking for some totally custom to your spec grips, check out the link below, Browne Works Inc, and hit them up. So now let's get into the topic of practicing your practice regimen, your practice regime, practice, whatever you want to do. Some people will hit me up and they'll say, oh, how do you shoot good? And I'm a pretty good shot. I'll say that, but I'm not like some of these insane competition shooters, but I did shoot competition for a lot of years. And one of the ways that if you truly want to get better, you can't just keep going out to the range and shooting at and blasting at, tin cans and this and that and just flopping off at the range, basically. You have got to set yourself up a structured practice plan like anybody would do, like any sports person would do, golfer, whatever it is, okay? They would set themselves up a practice regimen and stick to that and really, really concentrate on that, not just fun blasting, at dirt clods and all that other kind of stuff out there. Oh, that stuff's great. But if you're not focusing, especially shooting handguns are difficult to master. They really are. Handguns are very difficult to master. So if you truly want to be better, like Jerry Michlik says, you got to be the first one on the range and the last one to leave. And you have to set up a structured practice plan. So I've done a couple videos. They don't get that many views. They're not that popular. But some people have said they like them on trigger control drills, stuff like that. Excuse me. Competition stuff to do in competition, build drills and all that other kind of stuff. These drills, you've got to sit there and you've got to say, all right, I'm going to be serious about this. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to fire 50 rounds like this, 50 rounds like that, 50 rounds. So I used to go out and I would warm up before practice session and just sit there and say, all right, let me take my time and try to shoot the tightest group I can at like 5 yards. Then I'd back up to 7 yards, then 10 yards, stuff like that. Then I would say, all right, I have 150 rounds. When I used to belong to a gun club out in Virginia, they had plate racks and stuff like that. And I'd love to get one out here, but those are really expensive. But I'd have plate racks, and I'd say, all right, I'm going to plate rack, 15 yards, plate rack. I'm going to shoot 50 rounds, strong hand only. I'm going to practice strong hand. 50 rounds, strong hand only. And try, and not for speed, for accuracy, focusing on my trigger press, focusing on my sight alignment, my trigger press, my follow through, and try to see 50 rounds, strong hand only. As soon as I was done with that 50 rounds, I'd have 50 rounds, weak hand only. And keep track of how many shots you miss and try to improve on that the next time. So then I do 50 weak hand only. Then I do 50 with both hands, okay? And try and really focus, not speed dumping bullets all over the place and all this other kind of crap. And then I do this one, like this trigger control. I dropped the video on the channel about this trigger control drill where you fire one round, you load one round, take the magazine out, fire it, and then you fire a dry fire around and then reinsert. It's on the channel. I would do that for, let's say, 20 rounds, or 10 rounds, because then you get 20 trigger pulls. And if I didn't see any movement or anything like that, you know, I'd be like, okay, cool. Now it's time to start practicing drawing and all that other kind of stuff and speeding it up on the range. Also, we used to set up when we were really, really rolling in our competition season. We would all meet on Saturdays. We would set up a course of fire, walk through it slowly, boom, 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 warm up, do that kind of stuff. We would have a practice regimen that we would do before we would, really step it into high speed. So that's basically what I'm trying to say. If you keep going out and you're just turning bullets into noise, you're just turning, blasting dollar bills down range, it's not going to work for you. You are not going to get better unless you really sit there and focus on the fundamentals and practice and say, I got 10 rounds in my gun. I'm going to fire, really focus every shot at 5 yards and see if I can get one ragged hole. And then once I can do that, don't keep moving back. Once I can do one ragged hole, let's say at 5 yards, 10 rounds of 45 or whatever, then say, okay, now back up to 7. And if you're struggling with that, stay at 7 till you can do it. That's really how you get better. And also, by the way, shooting is a perishable skill. So you can't go out there and shoot 50 rounds a year and be like, well, how do you shoot so good? Or how do you, this guy shoots awesome. All the top shooters, I don't know if a lot of people watching this are into USPSA or IPSC. IPSC is the international one that the whole world does. USPSA is United States Practical Shooting Association. So that's under the IPSC banner, but that's the US one. There's a guy out there, he's a Frenchman, Eric Graffal. That guy, I saw an interview with him one time. That guy, he's probably the best pistol shooter in the world. That guy said he shoots like 200,000. Do you see the words coming out of my mouth? 200,000 rounds a year out of his handgun. 200,000. A lot of people will shoot. They're like, hey, we'll go to the range on 4th of July and blast 50 rounds. Damn it, why can't I get better? And that's one of the problems with police officers that struggle to shoot too, is a lot of agencies don't have money to give police officers ammunition to practice, so they have to buy their own, and they don't get paid a lot, especially nowadays, so they don't buy their own, so they don't practice. So they try to rush and practice before qualification, and then they might qualify, might not, but they do that for a bunch of reasons. But that's why some police officers will struggle, because they're not shooters and they don't have the money to dump a bunch of money in, into ammo, to dump a bunch of it into ammo to practice. So there it is, guys. You really, really, whatever it is, excuse me. Oh, Coke Zero. Oh, wow. That hit me. Getting over a sickness. You really need to set up a structured practice regimen and do it as much as you can. Get out to the range as much as you possibly can afford. I'm saying have fun too, okay? If you like shooting fast and blah, 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 and blasting and shooting little exploding targets, as long as you're safe with that stuff, and all that kind of jazz, I'm saying do all that. But go out there first. Set you aside 100 rounds or 150 rounds of serious, whatever you can afford, of serious, I'm going to focus, I'm going to practice, I'm going to see if I can shoot the tightest group, I'm going to see if I can do it, and then say, all right, I'm done that, let's go blasting and do all your fun stuff, because I like just blasting for fun too. But that's my recommendation on how to really get better. You really have got to get serious and set up a structured practice session every time you go out to shoot. That's what it takes. And on top of that, if you get a chance to get into competitions like IDPA, USPSA, whatever it is around where you're at, get into those too, because those also help a lot, because you're putting more rounds down range. But I have seen people that do not do that, that the first thing they do is, we've seen people, the first thing they're exposed to is the competition. They get out there and they're just like, bah, 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 and they don't have any time on pistols ahead of time. So they really struggle to get better because they just want to go faster, 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 faster. Competition is like, everybody wants to go super fast, and you just start spraying bullets everywhere when you're new. But if you grew up shooting handguns and your focus was, how accurate can I shoot? And then you get into competition. Those guys typically do a lot better. I had a buddy that, and this is not the exact quote, but I'm trying to quote him. He said that he could take a bullseye shooter, somebody who can shoot very accurately with a handgun, and turn them into a master USPSA shooter. He cannot take a USPSA shooter and turn him into a master bullseye shooter, because they grew up just spraying. And so they don't understand the fundamentals, whereas the bullseye shooter understands the fundamentals and then steps into the competition world and ends up typically doing a lot better. So there it is, guys. If you really want to get better, set up a structured practice routine, whatever it is that you can afford, and follow it, and you will get better. So thanks for watching, guys. We will see you next time.